How's it going, everybody? Wearing my dorky glasses today, but rocking some FF6 here, and I was watching this video by the Dungeon Dudes drama, comedy, and live play. It's not really drama. I'm probably gonna use that as the title, but it's not really like drama. It's them talking about dramatic games, and I just had a quick thought on it. Because he's basically talking, and he's right, like, he's kind of talking about, like, of having games where, like, it's more than just laughing and kind of knocking off, right? Is that there's some drama in the game, right? And, you know, in the story, right? Sort of, say, serious, engaging stories, and how he only really has that with a group of players that have been playing for, I think he said, like 10 years or something, right? And it's kind of true, right? It's like having those in-person games with people you know for a long time allows you to do a lot more cool stuff as a game master and as a player, right? And I was kind of thinking about that because I kind of wondering, you know, with a lot of the sort of move to online play and all that, if people will actually get that. And then I was thinking, you know, is the whole sort of issue around safety rules, like, I'm not sure if it's an issue or not. Like, I will say that I reckon that I would speculate to say that a lot of DMs who DM online are going to be reluctant to sort of put anything a little too serious in the campaigns, because the sort of desire to perform and not offend limits their sort of creativity, right? Or they're never going to be as creative as they really want to be. Now, that may or may not be true. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me in the comments, right? Because generally most people aren't offended unless you're doing something really weird, which is not necessarily dramatic, right? Or serious, right? It's like if you read the D&D like horror stories, it's like some DM, it's like, I'm gonna have this game where people are raped by goblins, and you're like, yeah, no, like, that's not what necessarily, like, you don't need to do that. But, you know, could it be something also just like, you know, a darker style game, and people don't want to do that, or DMs don't want to do that, and that means that players also miss out on that, right? Having those cool moments, like I could say, like, that's what I mean. Like, I don't know if this is actually censored, or if people are actually nervous about sort of letting go, D&Ding, doing game mastering online. But, like, I remember probably one of the more poignant campaign moments I had with a player, and I'm trying to remember exactly, but they had played a kind of bard that was more of a dancer, and she, you know, she was like a half elf, and she was a singer and a dancer, right? And part of her story was that she was an orphan, and I had them in the keep where the orphanage was, that there was a city there, and where the orphanage was that she had grown up in. And I started foreshadowing this event where I started to tell you have dreams of when somebody's singing to you, right? And you remember, you know, memories of your mother. And I just kept teasing it, and eventually I had them, part of their assignment was to track down, there had been reports of a banshee showing up. And, you know, basically, and I didn't tell the player that, you know, I didn't divulge too much. It was just through context clues she kind of figured out that this, like, in the middle of the game, they were trying to figure out what to do about this banshee, and they were just like, I sing the song that my mother had sung me. And of course, it was a very cool moment, because, you know, I had the banshee stops and looks at you and sings back to you, and, you know, they have this sort of moment. It was a very cool kind of moment. But I don't think I would have, you know, been able to create that, you know, with the help of the player, if we hadn't already been friends for a long time, right? And those really cool game mastering moments, I feel like a lot of players might be missing out on it, and I also feel like a lot of players really want that, especially today, right? There's certainly been a shift to more what they call story gaming and stuff, which is different from old school kind of stylistically, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. It's just kind of a change in how things are, right? I don't kind of complain about it. I'm fine with it. Like, it's just different, like, I mean, I remember old school gamer. I don't remember most of my old school characters because a lot of them just died, right? Just died a lot. But we were playing not necessarily. I don't even remember the storylines people came up with, right? I don't remember, like, even when I played 5th edition, which I don't really like, but they'll run modules, and I don't remember the stories out of any of them, right? But I do kind of remember some stories that players have created, or DMs. When we trade off, they've created their own storylines, which I find generally better than purchase modules, right? So, I don't know. Anyways, I guess, no. The point would be, like, are players missing out on that? Have we created a kind of nervousness in the online community of people not wanting to sort of take risks or do something interesting because they're afraid somebody might complain about them? And are the players holding back because they don't want to offend anybody else, right? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, generally speaking, I've never had bad experiences of that nature in games, but I have, heard stories, and mostly those stories are from female players where dudes are just awkwardly kind of hitting on them. But I don't know. What do you think? I guess that's my question. Is that really a problem, or no, not really, and it's just familiarity? It's not necessarily, the issue isn't really risking or worrying about offending anybody. It's more you're not really comfortable because you don't know the people. It could just be that that's probably more what it is, but I kind of wonder about it sometimes, right? Like, there are some times where you'd have friends run a more serious kind of dark game, and maybe people don't really want to do that, like on start playing games or whatever, or in the online kind of community. I don't know, just a thought. Let me know what you think.